কারণ করে ফেলা দরকার। কারণ হলো যে লোকজনকে তো দাওয়াত দেওয়া, দাওয়াত আগে দিতে পারলে ভালো। আর যেহেতু
জি জি
কম্পিটিটিভ দাওয়াত,
জি
দাওয়াতটা হলো কে আগে দিচ্ছে সেটা একটা ফ্যাক্টর।
সেটাই।
যেহেতু এখানে দাওয়াত নিয়েও কম্পিটিশন আছে, আর
জি
এখন তো আসলে ভাগাভাগি টানাটানির বিষয়। এখন
জি
আগে দাওয়াত দিলে আগে আসবে, এটাই স্বাভাবিক।
ঠিক আছে, আমরা এটা দেখছি, তা করে ফেলছি তাহলে।
আর আমরা তো সিদ্ধান্ত নিয়ে নিয়েছিলাম, মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী যেহেতু বলেছিলেন আমার মিটিং এ যে ভার্চুয়ালি করে ফেলো,
জি
ওই যে বঙ্গবন্ধু মেমোরিয়াল ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ইনভেস্টমেন্ট সামিট,
জি
তো সেটা আমরা প্রস্তুতি নিয়েছিলাম, কিছু প্ল্যানও করে ফেলেছিলাম। গত পরশুদিন পিএমও তে প্রিন্সিপাল সেক্রেটারির সাথে একটা মিটিং হয়েছে।
জি
প্রিন্সিপাল সেক্রেটারি আমাকে যেটা বললেন যে স্যার মুজিব বর্ষ এক্সটেন্ডেড হচ্ছে আপ টু 31st December 2021,
আচ্ছা
এবং হি সাজেস্টেড দ্যাট যে আপনি সামিট করবেন, সামিট যদি ইম্প্যাক্টফুল না হয় শুধু ইনফরমেশন পাসন করে তো লাভ নেই,
ট্রু
এবং ইম্প্যাক্টফুল করতে হলে আসলে ফিজিক্যালি করাটা মাচ বেটার। তো আমরা এগ্রি করেছি। আমরা
জি
জুলাইতে মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী চাইবো, জুলাইতে একটা সময় চাইবো। আহ, সময়টা পেলে আমরা পুরোদমে প্রিপারেশন শুরু করবো আর কি। আপনাদেরকে ডাকবো, দেখি যে
অবশ্যই।
কারা কারা কারা।
এটা কি বাংলাদেশে করছেন?
বাংলাদেশে, হ্যাঁ, বাংলাদেশে এটা মুজিব বর্ষে এটা বিডার ওয়ান অফ দি প্রোগ্রাম ছিল এটা, যে
জি
বঙ্গবন্ধু ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ইনভেস্টমেন্ট সামিট করব।
জি
আর একটা ছিল যে আমরা ওই কি বলে যে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট অ্যাওয়ার্ড ইন্ট্রোডিউস করতে চেয়েছিলাম, কিন্তু সেটাই প্যান্ডেমিকের কারণে প্রধানমন্ত্রীর কার্যালয় বললো যে আপাতত এটা স্থগিত থাকুক, প্যান্ডেমিক
জি
গেলে তারপরে এটা চিন্তা করা যাবে।
জি
তো ওইটা বাদ দিয়েছি আমরা। আর তো ওই যে আউটরিচ প্রোগ্রাম করব, সেটা
জি
আপনাদের সাথে তো
কথা
একটা
হচ্ছে যে
হলো।
জি
আমরা সম্ভবত টার্কির সাথে একটা ভার্চুয়াল প্রোগ্রাম হবে, কারণ টার্কির আমাদের এফবিসিসিআই যেরকম, ওদের ওরকম এফবিসিসি কি নাম, ডাইক নাকি নাম ওদের,
জি
ওরা শো করেছিল যে দে ওয়ান্টেড টু হ্যাভ এ সর্ট অফ ভার্চুয়াল মিটিং উইথ বিডা। ওইটা ওই যে টার্কিশ অ্যাম্বাসেডার আমার সাথে দেখা করেছিলেন গত মাসে, উনি এটা কনভে করেছেন। তো আমরা সেটা নিয়ে অগ্রসর হচ্ছি। খুব সহসা সম্ভবত টার্কির সাথে আমরা একটা এসে যেতে পারবো আর কি। দেখা যাক।
ঠিক আছে।
ওকে,
টার্কি থেকে তো ইনভেস্টমেন্ট এসছে।
এসেছে না?
জি
ওই যে এলপিজি তে মনে হয় একটা বড় ইনভেস্টমেন্ট ওরা
জি
করতে।
ওটা আমি করে দিয়েছি
ও আচ্ছা,
ইউনাইটেডের সাথে। আরেকটা স্যার যে আপনার ওই সিঙ্গারটা কিনেছে তোরা?
ও সেটা তো আগে কিনেছে, কিন্তু এই
না স্যার, গত
সিঙ্গার
বছর।
সিঙ্গার কেনার ফলে কি আমরা বেনিফিটেড হয়েছি? এটা তো শুনলাম যে বাইরে বাইরে সব ট্রানজেকশন হয়েছে।
জি, কিন্তু যে ওদের এক্সপ্যানশন প্ল্যানটা আছে আর কি সিঙ্গারের চেয়ে, দে
আচ্ছা
আর গোইং টু ডু। আমার এমনি কলও আছে নেক্সট উইকে একটা, ওদের সাথে দেখা
আচ্ছা
করছে আদার প্ল্যানস।
আচ্ছা। ও, তো আমার তো মনে হয় যে অনেকেই যুক্ত হয়েছেন।
জি আমি শুরু করবো, ব্যাসে থেকে স্টার্ট করবো মনে হয়। আচ্ছা বেড়ে গেছে।
33 people already joined. অফ থাকে এখন।
জি।
ঠিক সালাম স্যার স্যার আমাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছেন স্যার
জি শোনা যাচ্ছে এখন
শোনা
Yes,
যাচ্ছে
sir. Sorry. We had slight technical issues, sir. We're just waiting. Let me have a very quick introduction to all of us in the panel. I'll start with our two younger partners till we have Honorable State Minister for Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Shahri Alam joining with us. And Zahid will start. I mean, once he joins with us, then please give us a go ahead, and then we'll start rolling.
Sure, sir,
Zahid?
definitely.
Okay, so Matthias and Zahid has been our collaborators in the whole enterprise for past months. Matthias is connecting with us on behalf of the Larive International, the investment consulting based in Amsterdam, and from Light Castle side, Light Castle Partners to be precise, the director for strategy, Zahidul Islam, is joining with us. And for Matthias, for you, a very quick introduction. Mr. Mohammed Sirajul Islam is a very senior civil servant. He was, but now he's heading as executive chairman, the premier and the only investment facilitating agency in Bangladesh called Bangladesh Investment Development Authority. Then you have in screen Mr. Nasir Izaz. He is heading as the CEO, one of the largest foreign multinational bank, and to be more precise, the oldest foreign multinational bank in Bangladesh, Tanchart Bank. We also are connected to Barrister Nihat Kabir. She told that she's actually in the car. Appa, I'm not sure whether you are connected to us right now, but
I am Razbhai, but as you can hear, there are ambulances and stuff outside, so I'll mute
No,
myself for the time being.
no problem. But just for me to carry on, Barrister Nihat Kabir is heading for the second term, if I'm not wrong, the oldest chamber of commerce industry in Bangladesh called Metropolitan Chamber. And we are to have Ambassador Steve Collett.
They are already. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, আপনি muted আছেন, sir.
Alaikum Assalam. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry
Yes, sir.
for being a little late.
No, sir.
Some glitch.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalam.
Sir, from Hague, sir, it's our distinct pleasure and privilege to have you, sir, on board, sir. And I was just sharing as to who are there today in the panel. So till Zahid, we are waiting for your nod to roll out.
Sure.
For the honorable minister, sir, sir, we are just waiting. We'll have two persons in the process joining with us. Ambassador Steve Collett from the Dutch Foreign Ministry. He's there.
I'm there. I've been there.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, okay, good, Ambassador Steve. Ambassador, sir, as I was telling you, Ambassador Steve Collett is the Ambassador for Business and Development. I'll have him introduced while we come for this moderated conversation. So the scheme stands as follows: that we'll first, after I set the context and apprise you as to how we have come thus far, we'll come quickly to Zahid and Matthias to give us a very quick rundown on the whole study and the significance of the study. Then we'll have a moderated conversation with the distinguished panelists, 5 of them. Ambassador Harry said he's in another conversation because on human rights. And then he'll be connecting with us around a few minutes down the line. And then, sir, we'll have a formal launching through you, sir. And also we'll have your kind remarks, sir. So Zahid,
Sounds good.
waiting for,
Let's roll.
sir. Just to apprise you, sir, we had very fascinating 3 webinars over the past 2 days, sir.
Yeah, followed that. Thank you.
Zahid?
Sir, we are going live within, we are already live, sir.
Okay. Good morning, all the distinguished panelists, Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Shahriar Alam, MP, Honorable State Minister for Foreign Affairs in Bangladesh. And we are joined by 5 very distinguished panelists from The Hague and from Dhaka. and also quite a number of participants who actually stood with us over the past 2 days in 3 webinars. It's a good afternoon, I think, in both places. Good evening, to be more precise, in Dhaka. Let me, in rolling out over the scheme of things over the past, over the next 60 minutes, if I may apprise all the participants and the distinguished panelists and the honorable chief guests as to how we have reached this distance. We were having a leisurely conversation in May when we all were stuck in COVID in different places. I was in Sri Lanka, and I had a conversation with Zahid, and I said that Netherlands is a fascinating country. We know our two countries in terms of the water sector collaboration, but in terms of the economic engagements, the depth and breadth of it, there is no mapping. So the conversation eventually over the weeks shape up to the point that can we have a study? So when we embarked on the study, a few months down the line, by the time I land up in Netherlands, he brings his partner, Matthias and Larive International. And then eventually we understand that we need to also progress towards having a much wider exercise. So yesterday and day for yesterday, over 3 days, we had 3 fascinating, reflective, much deeper conversation in each having 90 minutes, 3 webinars on agriculture and food, on light engineering, and eventually on water and maritime. I would not bore you in terms of what have been the takeaways from that, all the 3 webinars, but our primary goal of having this study was essential to create a reference point, which is so much missing. And when we converse with a Dutch, someone in the Dutch government or someone in business or investment, 2 things came up very starkly. One is that there is considerable win-win beyond our modest engagements in water sector or in terms of potato seeds or conversations on floriculture. When we say win-win and mutually gainful engagements, we realized, as was also coming out from the participants, that Bangladesh offers essentially horizontal advantage in terms of our youthful population, middle and affluent class, and also the scale of production. And in many accounts, Bangladesh is unable to go to the next league because of non-availability of knowledge, technology, innovation, and solutions, not simply to talk in terms of climate change. So Netherlands brings in vertical advantages, so to say, and it's not confined to the 3 sectors we meant. And the 3 sectors also came by way of our mutual concurrence, because these are the areas not simply where Bangladesh needs things, but these are areas where also Dutch entrepreneurs, SMEs, innovators, basically the knowledge community, they are also keen. And we also realize that money is not necessarily the determinant or the constraint. It's more the knowledge or related soft products, soft solutions which are more at stake. I must also underscore that in the webinars and also including this enterprise, we have been supported by a range of actors from Dutch government. Dutch Foreign Ministry, Ambassador Steve Collett's presence eminently vindicates that, as also the premier Dutch entrepreneur agency called RVO, FMO Bank, NAFIC, Boom. All these are almost household names among anyone who deals with Netherlands from Bangladesh side. We also could see by end of yesterday that there is a considerable amount of excitement already, enthusiasm, not only on the Dutch side, but also on Bangladesh side. One of the things which was coming over and over again from all the 3 webinars is that we need to have responsible, credible partners, collaborators on Bangladesh side. So I am very happy to report to everyone, including sir, to you, that we had participation or involvement of some of the large conglomerates who, for some reason or other, have not so far been on board. So they have carried back. And also, I must underscore that the webinars, as we have been repeatedly saying, that these are simply not some business seminar or investment roadshow. This is to us beginning of a process where we look forward to carrying it forward further beyond the webinars and also including the study over the next 2 to 3 years, so that we really can bring value addition to each of the interested Dutch partners. Other thing which came out also equally interesting is that it's simply not for the Dutch side or an individual Dutch to engage in Bangladesh, looking at Bangladesh market. The point came that when we look at Padma Bridge, Paira Port, Matarbari Port, and also the PTA with Bhutan, it's essentially to look at much wider economic landscape beyond Bangladesh's borders. So that was a point also well taken, and I think a number of our friends also took note of that. So at this point, the final thing which I now see that you'd be also happy to note that as many as 221 participants actually logged in the first webinar, which was actually a surprise to us. As many as over 500 registered, many of them could not make, but this kind of enthusiasm, and each of them were chosen ones, not simply we send across participation invitation to them and people came. So I think all these should underscore not simply something of promise, but something really concrete to emerge if we can handhold and engage in a mutually beneficial manner over the next few months and years. Without further ado, at this point, with your concurrence, may I first turn to Matthias and Zahid, if you could present to us the high points of the study. Zahid, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Matthias?
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Hamidullah. Before my colleague Zahid will go into more detail of the results of the study, I would like to highlight a bit on the process, and in addition to your remarks on the webinars of the past days, I think Bangladesh is a great investment opportunity for Dutch companies. We as Larif, having been active in growth emerging markets in Asia, Central Eastern Europe, and Sub-Saharan Africa during the past 45 years, we have noticed that Bangladesh has not yet been sufficiently on the radar of Dutch companies till date. Having said, we see an enormous interest growing in the past 2 to 3 years, fueled by, of course, an increasing economy in the market, disposable incomes. So we, during the past 1 to 2 years, we really see an increasing attention among Dutch companies to either explore opportunities in Bangladesh or directly invest in the market. I think this report tries to highlight a number of opportunities. Clearly, the Dutch are known for their strengths in a number of industries, for example, within agro-food, horticulture, water, maritime, already mentioned, but also in life sciences, logistics. So we are confident there are plenty of opportunities, but it's now our task to really make these tangible and make sure that we facilitate Dutch companies, either individually or in consortia, to becoming increasingly engaged in Bangladesh. For now, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Zahid, who will provide you more details on the study conducted. Zahid?
Thank you. Thank you, Matthias. I will try to be as brief as possible since we only have a one hour long session. I'll just briefly go through the more salient points. As we all know, Bangladesh's economy has performed tremendously well. Our GDP growth has been roughly around 6% on average over the last 10 years. Our GDP per capita has increased across $1,900, and for the first time, our GDP growth per capita has crossed that of India. In terms of our broader competitive advantage, as we know, like our country has 170 million people, a very young population of 56% within the working age population. And of course, we are experiencing or we are benefiting from the overall population, our population. Additionally, we also, since a lot of people are ensconced in a small area, our density is also high, which gives us certain benefits. Apart from the population, our workforce is quite diverse and inclusive in a way, because 36% of our population, our female population, is actually working in the different sectors, which is significantly higher when even compared with our regional countries like India and Pakistan. And we also have a rising middle and affluent class population. And apart from that, our microeconomic fundamentals are quite robust, with 41 billion of FX reserves, 6% inflation rate, and very low debt to GDP ratio. In terms of ease of doing business, although ease of doing business ranking is probably not that high at this moment, but we have been improving. Our current rating is 168, and BIDA and other government regulatory agencies have been working really hard to improve the ranking. And it's expected that Bangladesh would become a double-digit ranked country within the next 4 to 5 years, with concerted support from the government sector and also from the private sector. In terms of our perception, Bangladesh has a strong case given the fact that we are growing. On the other side, our geostrategic location is also advantageous in the middle of India and China. But we believe that there is a bit of a scope for improvement in terms of our branding and perception, which would take us a long way. And although there has been certain reforms in the market entry process, there are some areas for significant improvement. If you look at the opportunities, we would want to see what exactly is happening. Netherlands has been operating in Bangladesh there has been a robust trade relationship over the last 40 years. Last year, Bangladesh has exported 685 million euro worth of apparel, 64 million euro of footwear to the Netherlands. Apart from that, FMO has been quite active in investing in Bangladesh, and they have invested in some blue chip companies like Grameenphone, Omera, ACI, and a few other companies. However, there is some scope for improvement. So in terms of the sectors, we had the opportunity of interacting with stakeholders across the board, be it Dutch investors, Dutch businesses, and also Bangladeshi counterparts, in order to find out the sweet spot where both these countries can collaborate. These are some of the areas or some of the sectors we think would definitely add value. One part would be the agriculture and the agro-processing sector. RMG is already one of the big parts. Pharmaceuticals, healthcare, the blue economy is another area where there can be significant hand-holding or support. And there are other sectors which includes power and energy, handicrafts, and shipbuilding in general, among others. In terms of our expertise, since we have a strong macroeconomic outlook, our positioning is quite, so Bangladesh can be a good launching pad for any Dutch companies who would want to enter Bangladesh. From the Netherlands, Bangladeshi companies can ideally seek investments, managerial expertise, technical support, technology transfer, and science and technological efficiency, which would be synergistic. In terms of the agriculture sector, our agriculture sector has significant contribution, although the GDP contribution is just 14%, 41% of our working population is engaged with the agriculture sector. The agriculture sector has performed quite well. However, there are some areas of support from the Netherlands, which includes crop diversification, climate smart farming, and also storage and logistics, where Dutch companies and Dutch enterprises and companies can support us. In terms of protein consumption, as we know, with rising income, our protein consumption has significantly gone up, which has increased demand for backward linkage or the livestock and poultry value chains, which includes both feed and all the forward linkage. Our feed market is quite small, 4.5 million metric ton, but there is a significant scope for improvement with rising demand for poultry and livestock in the coming years. In terms of the fisheries sector, we all know fisheries actually accounts for a significant percentage of Bangladesh's protein consumption. Currently, around 50% of our fish comes from...
Zahid, in the interest of time, if we can just have it in 1 to 2 minutes, please.
Sure, sir. I'll just speed things up very fast. Specifically, as we all know, the RMG sector is also significantly, it contributes 85% of our country's export, and it will remain one of the pillars of the country's economy. The bicycle industry, but since the Dutch they have on average ownership of 2 bicycles, there is a good demand for bicycle industries. The electronics and light engineering sector with positive or a robust government support has enabled a higher demand for mobile and electronic market. Apart from jute and jute diversified product has significant demand in the Netherlands and the European market, given the fact that it's environment friendly. And the booming IT sector, as we know, we have a young population, and this will lead to higher demand for IT-based services. And as we know, fintech is leading the way with MFS transactions accounting for 6 billion per month. And the blue economy, as we have mentioned, has significant potential. Water management partnerships, particularly in terms of urban water supply, dredging, and also water treatment in the economic zones, which are going to be built by the government. Apart from that, shipbuilding is also one of the key areas where there can be significant cooperation and co-investment, which would increase the size of our export in the international market. Thank you, sir. I would want to stop here, and I would like to give the floor to His Excellency, Riaz Hamidullah.
Thank you, Zahid, for that rapid, rather roller coaster sneak peek into the whole thing. And to each of the distinguished panelists, including the Honorable State Minister, sir, you would have by now seen the full content of the report, and which will be uploaded in next 30 minutes on our embassy Facebook page. Let me proceed very fast on a moderated kind of conversation, rapid fire kind of. Mr. Nasir Izzaz Bijoy, you are heading as a CEO, the largest and the oldest multinational foreign bank in Bangladesh. A quick question to you. The 3 webinars over the past this week showed considerable interest from Dutch entrepreneurs, innovators, SMEs in 3 sectors. Given the credential of your bank, what would be your 3 to 4, let's say, specific message for a potential Dutch entrepreneur to engage in Bangladesh?
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Riaz Hamidullah. I would like to congratulate you for publishing this wonderful book, which is actually extremely relevant and helpful. I really love the title because it talks about mapping the ground, and that's really the key message. Because any partnership, any sustainable partnership is based on win-win relationship, right? So it doesn't always have to be based on investment flows. It can be also knowledge flows, right? So I think where I see the most benefit in this particular area is that in Bangladesh, what do we offer? We offer the factors of production, which is very helpful, very useful. At the same time, Netherlands offers knowledge and obviously a large market. Netherlands has an import base of $515 billion, right? So it is up to the Netherlands entities to buy from wherever it makes sense for them. And that's where I think Bangladesh plays a significant role, because we have the factors of production in terms of having the workforce, having the economic zones that we are preparing. So basically, we will definitely be able to provide that opportunity. Now, as a foreign oldest and largest international bank, we obviously are in a well positioned to introduce clients who will be a good partner if you want to come with a partnership. If it's a straightforward, fully foreign investment, that's absolutely possible. But I think where it can add most value is when you bring in your technical expertise. And I think there are huge number of credible local enterprises who will be very keen to go in joint ventures where they can access the local system, as well as I think funding is less of an issue for bank for local corporates. It's more about the technical knowledge, and that's where Netherlands can really bring in a very good opportunity. Especially Bangladesh having market access in European Union and other markets, I think it provides a very good reason for the Netherlands companies to actually think about having a re-export mechanism where they have $515 million we import. They can actually produce in Bangladesh and go back, bring it back to Netherlands. That actually gives a very good opportunity. I think I would like to share 3 stories. Short 3 stories. One is about the big. I'm not going to take long. I'll probably take 2 minutes to share. One is that the Bangladesh took 37 years to grow from 8 billion to 80 billion, and from last 12 years it has gone from 80 to 330 billion. That tells you something is really working well for Bangladesh. Second is about one of the largest Korean multinational. He's told me that when a country's per capita GDP comes to $2,000, the consumer economy actually explodes. Bangladesh has reached that, so it is a time for investment. Otherwise, assets will become more expensive. The last point, as an entity which has been there for 115 years, I would like to share that most of the highest taxpayers in the country are the multinational companies. They have been here for long term, and they are not only the most profitable entities in the country, but they are also most efficient in the group, in their respective group, which means complying with the regulation, complying with all the requirements, you can still maintain a very good profitability in this market. The return on equity is quite material. Therefore, I think Bangladesh is actually one of the best kept secret of Asia. So this is my message to our friends in Netherlands.
Thank you very much for that. I think you have provided 3 to 4 very key takeaways, and that also resonate with the conversations we were having past 2 days. Ambassador Steve Collett, thank you very much for joining with us. You have been with the Dutch Foreign Ministry as Ambassador for Business and Development since 2019. We had conversations before, and having been mindful of the ground that we have been able to cover, as modest as it be, and also having a look at the study, may I ask you two things perhaps? I mean, being mindful of our economic landscape and also the possible business opportunities. And then we were having a conversation on RCEP, for example, how it may lead to new supply chains, how the economic landscape may go for changes. What to your mind could be the possible horizon of opportunities from the that side, beyond flour, beyond potato, beyond water sector, more physical oriented? Steve, please.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished guests, thank you so much for inviting me today. And I mean, to refer to the previous speaker, the best kept secret in Asia. Thank you, Ambassador Yas Hamidullah, for unpacking that secret, because that's basically what you have been doing with all your energy and all your drive for this last few days, with a successful summit, with the launching of this mapping report, which we have in front of us today. So I think you truly help unpack that best kept secret in Asia. The COVID-19 pandemic makes many things difficult, but it's these type of virtual meetings that show resilience and opportunity. And I think those are also the keywords, right, to describe Bangladesh. Bangladesh is very close to the celebration of 50 years of independence. And it is remarkable to witness within a lifetime how much has changed in terms of growth, poverty reduction, and development, economic development. No matter the setback, Bangladesh has endured. Sorry for saying this in front, but I really want to stress that. And very recently, the global supply chain of textiles and garments reached headlines in the Netherlands. And the news was mostly negative. COVID-19 caused cancelled orders, lost jobs, unsafe labor conditions. And those of us working on private sector development, like myself, we held our breaths. And the crisis they bear the vulnerabilities of the industry and showed that in spite of progress over the past years, there is a long road ahead. But even so, Bangladesh showed once again resilience, and despite the ongoing pandemic, the sector is showing signs of recovery. And increasingly, that means that there are new opportunities and that we can look forward. And you're asking me, Ambassador, for new opportunities. The graduation of Bangladesh from the LDC group will be a landmark. It signs and signals official recognition for what some of the close friends of Bangladesh have known for a while already. The relationship has changed and continues to do so. From a donor and recipient relationship, the Netherlands and Bangladesh are moving towards a relationship based on trade and investments as equal partners, and that's why we are here. And as the Ambassador for Business and Development, I have a role to support that transformation. And this is not an overnight process. The Netherlands is interested in a stable, economically strong Bangladesh with plenty of jobs. And you've referred to the youth population with opportunities for the next generation where goods of high value are produced and where business opportunities are everywhere to be found. And I think this is a phase in which our private sector development efforts can be employed for the development goals of Bangladesh, sharing knowledge, focusing on youth, diversification of the economy, fostering job creation. Those are all areas to broaden the scope of our cooperation. And now this brings me, and I'm almost done in the interest of the time of this hour, it brings me to the report. As a very first ever mapping of its kind, I learned a lot. You really helped me unpack the best kept secret in Asia. It feels like this is part of the essential homework, what we needed. And we need to be able to inform Dutch companies about opportunities and possibilities in Bangladesh. And as we can all see in this mapping, there are plenty of possibilities to further explore. Additional value creation in the RMG sector or the jute sector, we talked about it, I clearly remember. Maritime cooperation, value add in agriculture, or more generally in the field of sustainability. And what I also really like is that it ties in very well with what our embassy team in Dhaka is currently doing. Our colleagues in Dhaka work on helping to improve the RMG sector and on getting a better understanding of the business opportunities in different sectors in your beautiful country by carrying out market scans. Gathering and sharing this information to mobilize Dutch and Bangladeshi private sector is an important step in the transition. So during the 3 events of the summit, and then I'll wrap up, I noticed already many relevant questions and remarks, and I feel that's a good indicator of the way forward. There was quite a bit of interest and appreciation in the role of FMO as an investor, which my department is pleased to note and fully supports. And in that respect, Ambassador and distinguished guests, the embassy in Dhaka initiated a pilot in which FMO employees were seconded to the embassy, to your country. And I hope that this can be resumed as soon as the situation allows, because I feel it fits in the energy I'm feeling here today. And because we see the value of having FMO presence, and this is unique in the world, on the ground in Bangladesh. And with that, I would like to thank you again and onwards for the next 50 years.
Thank you, Ambassador Colette. As I was telling in one of the webinars, and Honorable Minister, sir, when I land here and I was doing my rounds of calls, the Ambassador of Jordan invited my attention to a 2017 September National Geographic story. This is it. It reads as how this tiny country feeds the world. The Dutch agriculture exports globally last year was reported to be close to $106 billion. When I looked at the menu, I delved deeper. I only wondered that quite a considerable part of it can also move, not simply move, can also have its position root in Bangladesh with knowledge, solution, innovation, technology, and absolutely a considerable win-win, much beyond the merchandise trade that we look at. Thank you very much for that. May I move to Barrister Nihat Kabir? You are heading, indeed for the second term, as the president of the oldest Chamber of Commerce and Industry Metropolitan Chamber in Bangladesh. And over again, past 2 days, we are hearing from the Dutch side that the value and necessity of having local collaborators in terms of forging long-term partnership in moving to Bangladesh. So and particularly this was coming from the SMEs, Dutch SMEs. If I may seek your kind of views as to how from the Metropolitan Chamber you may wish to handhold them in Bangladesh as they approach, because many of the partners in your membership, they were there as well. Please.
Thank you very much, Master Hamidullah, and good afternoon, good evening now. Welcome to all the participants. Let me brag a bit. This is actually my 4th term as the president of MCCI, but in the 116-year history of MCCI, it's not a very long period at all. From the age of this chamber, you can see that we believe in long-term relationships. We have companies who are our members who have been in Bangladesh, local companies which were formed in the early 1900s, and multinational companies which joined us in the 1950s. American Life Insurance Company, Alico, for example, some other companies, and we have access to the very large business groups and conglomerates, which are very stable, blue chip, most of them listed companies in Bangladesh. So I've gained quite a bit of experience from dealing with them. And the other thing is, of course, that I've been a commercial lawyer in Bangladesh, a commercial corporate lawyer for almost 30 years. So I have dealt with the entire gamut of these foreign investors and their concerns in Bangladesh. This hand-holding that you talked about, Ambassador Hamidullah, is very, very important. We have found that for some reason, people come to Bangladesh, foreign investors, they've met perhaps some Bangladeshi entrepreneurs, or they have looked at the potentials, but they come in and somehow tend not to avail themselves of the legal and accounting expertise, which they would if they went to invest in any other countries. And we found that, I'll give you one example, not from the Netherlands, but from Singapore. A gentleman came to...
May I just interject? In fact, you were pointing to something very interesting, because one of them actually pointed to this as well in one of the webinars about the legal framework. And so having your explanation would really be helpful on that.
Yes. So, you see, the legal framework which is here would be very familiar to anybody who's familiar with the English law system. And quite often it is said our laws are out of date, but I think that is a little bit of a red herring. What perhaps where we do fall behind is a little bit in the speed of dispute resolution. Other than that, the laws are actually quite good as far as I'm concerned. And they're very standard English common law system, rules and regulations there. We fall behind on implementation, and that is one of the weaknesses which we need to address, and we are addressing. The Honorable Chairman of the BIDA is here. He knows that we are all working together to ensure that the legal and regulatory framework is brought up to a level of reducing the time and the cost of compliance. But going back to the example that I was giving you, we had somebody come into my chambers, Lord Chambers, from Singapore, which we think, it is regionally one of our most sort of coveted investment destinations or host countries, as well as, we want Singaporeans to invest here. He came with a Bengali document, which had been registered, all red ink and stamps and everything. And he came and said to us, can you tell me what this document says? So we said, this says that somebody has sold a rather valuable piece of land to somebody else. And he said, well, I am the person who executed this document. I went to some office and they told me I had to execute it, but I haven't read it. Now, so he had actually sold land without realizing what he had done. That is why we say that when you go into any new country, you look up the regulatory framework first. In order to have a good experience, you look up the foreign exchange regulations, you look up the labor regulations, you look up the business opening regulations and practices. You talk to your bankers. Nasser is here. He will tell you that they help a lot of their clients refer to their overseas network. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is actually matchmaking with the proper local counterpart. And that is where I think the Netherlands Embassy in Bangladesh and chambers like ours and chambers like Dhaka Chamber, Chittagong Chamber, we can really play a role, because we are aware of not just what is on paper about the different groups. We are aware of what would be actually a good fit. We are aware of the reputations, we are aware of the business practices. Dhaka is, for all its huge population, it is quite a small place. We pretty much know who is doing what. And we are provide the practical guidance that, yes, we would recommend you go with A or B or C, and we have some reservations about X or Y or Z. And I have found that this actually is a very practical way of putting together parties which match together and then stay together for the long term. Nasser just said that Bangladesh is the best kept secret. Just before this webinar, Ambassador Hamidullah and I were at another program where I think I said the same thing. We have a lot of foreign investors in Bangladesh have their most profitable ventures in Bangladesh. It is quite well known. And I see no reason why we should, be such a secret. The Honorable State Minister for Foreign Affairs is here, the BIDA Chairman is here. We have had many conversations about this, that it is our fault we are unable to present ourselves in the global arena as being a pretty, advanced, we have in certain sectors pretty advanced industrial and manufacturing and service capacities. Somehow, the world thinks that all we produce is RNGs and all we have are floods. I mean, that is really not.
Thank you, Madam President. If you allow me, if I may ask for your indulgence, but one thing I can underscore that your very candid reflections, and I actually try to, if I may say, tweak you on that, because this also would help us to sell the Bangladesh story, to tell the Bangladesh story across Netherlands. Ambassador College still here, and I understand that Ambassador Harry Verwey has already joined this call. Welcome, because this is part of our, not simply a pitch for investment mobilization or FDI. And this I made very clear to our Dutch friends that here we are for forging economic partnerships, and you underlined that as well. So your elaboration on what you said would be extremely helpful for us then to connect beyond. So if I may now turn to Mr. Sirajul Islam, sir, you have been leading as executive chairman, the Premier and the Loan investment facilitation agency called Bangladesh Investment Development Authority. My quick pitch to you would be that over the past 2 days, 3 webinars, we have been over and over hearing from the Dutch SMEs in particular that how does Bangladesh appear in terms of investment destination? We realize that Europe, the strength of Europe is essentially about SMEs. 2.4 million SMEs dotted across Europe. They are the formidable partners or backbone, so to say, for European manufacturing. So for them to move to Bangladesh, get positioned with or without collaboration, what would be your take or kind of key messages, if you kindly put across from BIDA's point of view, particularly when they are coming with knowledge, not essentially amount of investments, but which are much crucial for Bangladesh, knowledge, which to me sometimes are priceless. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you, His Excellency Ambassador P.S. Hamidullah, for inviting me to this very important report launching webinar. His Excellency, the Honorable State Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Shahriar Alam, His Excellency, the Ambassador for Business and Development, Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Steven Collett, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Netherlands to Bangladesh, Mr. Harry Verwil, His Excellency, the Ambassador, respected panelists, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good evening from Dhaka. I know it's good morning in the Netherlands. It's a pleasure for me to join this ceremony.
Sir, if I may interject, sir, we are slightly time pressed with little time. If you kindly, sir,
Okay.
if you may have here, because some of the Dutch participants, they logged in for next 15 minutes or so.
As we mark the 50 years of our bilateral relationship, allow me to congratulate the people of our great nation, especially those who are working at the forefront to deepen our historic ties. The Netherlands is our close friend and development partner. It was among the first countries to recognize our independence in 1971. It is among our top sources of FDI, and its investment flows are diversifying and rising substantially. On this note, I would like to thank the Bangladesh Embassy in the Netherlands for taking exemplary initiatives to promote more trade and investment between our nations. Your hard work has led to many developments, including the report being launched today. It is a highly effective tool for promoting Bangladesh's investment opportunities to Dutch investors. I greatly appreciate this report for several reasons. Firstly, it beautifully highlights the undoubted strength of our economy and identifies the sectors and the collaboration that are offering the highest potential for both Netherlands and Bangladesh. Secondly, it describes our initiatives for an enhanced business climate. On this note, I hope you will be pleased to know that today we officially added 14 more online investor services of 3 different government agencies into our one-stop service portal. The portal now offers certified, speedy, contactless, and e-payment enabled services. We will be adding 10 more services by the end of this month. Our goal is to integrate 154 G2B services of 35 agencies, hopefully by next year. I'm talking about this because all these are related, whether it is in the SME sector or in big industries. Allow me to elaborate a bit more and talk about the momentum in our doing business reform initiatives, as it was discussed. In 2019, Bangladesh became a top 20 reformer in World Bank Index. This year, despite COVID-19, we implemented reforms under 7 indicators. Let me offer you a few more examples. This year, we introduced a fast-track property registration system for businesses, made infrastructure improvement at the Chattogram port, which is our largest port. We reduced time and processes in getting electricity, starting a business, accessing credit, trading across border, dealing with construction permit. Mr. Nihat Kabir knows very well about all this development. Ladies and gentlemen, as Bangladesh is on the verge of graduation with a transforming economy, we are inviting high-value investment and diversified and knowledge-based production processes for sustaining our momentum of growth. For that, European countries, particularly from Netherlands, is a natural choice. Business opportunities here are unbounded, be it greenfield, brownfield, joint venture, or any other mode. In all these sectors identified in the report and beyond, BIDA will support the entry and operation of Dutch businesses through latest information, fast-track investor services, and dedicated aftercare facilities. BIDA will also support investors get access to land and help them find local partners. We also look forward to supporting the entry and growth of Dutch SMEs, which are especially important for our developing economy because of the volume of jobs they create, and this is a universal fact. Due to the diverse manufacturing and service ambit with large entrepreneurial base, SMEs appears as the most important player in stitching the segments of the economy to right direction. The experiences of knowledge-based Dutch SMEs, which create simply chain linkages to large enterprises, are therefore crucial for adding more value to our economy. The Bangladesh government is supporting large and small businesses by forming conducive policy space, incentivizing the sectors through fiscal and non-fiscal measures, and creating dedicated agencies to cater their specific needs. So I urge Dutch businesses to take advantage of our unbounded opportunities. Our high corporate profitability, our business-friendly policies, our massive domestic market, and our strategic access to key markets across the world. Should you want to speak with us at any time after this dialogue, our doors are open always. As the Apex Investment Promotion Agency of Bangladesh, BIDA looks forward to working with the embassy and all stakeholders.
Sir, may I have your kind indulgence, sir? In the interest of time, sir, if you allow me, sir, to kindly.
I just came to come to my conclusion. I would like to conclude my address by reiterating our commitment to business climate reforms, predictable service delivery to businesses, and helping Dutch business enter, operate, and grow in Bangladesh. BIDA, in fact, we nurture the investment dream of the investors. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I'm sure that our Dutch friends here in the Netherlands, as also in Dhaka, would certainly take into account all the very important messages and the improvements that you have underscored. May I turn to Ambassador Harry Verwey, my good friend, and also the Dutch ambassador in Netherlands. He has been there on the ground for last 2 years. Ambassador Harry, do I have you?
Yes, you have me.
Oh, yes, please.
Certainly.
Yes,
I'm very happy to see a lot of familiar faces here on my screen. And thank the Honorable State Minister and all the others, the chair of BIDA, Nasser, and so many others. So I'm very happy to be in this company. Thank you very much. I think, you know,
basically what, I mean, if I may have your reflections, you know that how a number of conversations that we have had over the past months, and you have been very active in Bangladesh, and you said in your message or remarks that interestingly our interests converge. So and listening to or being mindful of the kind of conversations that are coming through webinar and what you have been actually doing within your remit, how would you look at the months and years ahead? Please.
Well, very clearly, I think, thank you for focusing me. I think that is very helpful. I was very glad that the chat box during the summit was really buzzing, and there were many sparks of of exchanges, and I think many people see opportunities in Bangladesh. The problem is how to make it work. One of the issues, and I've heard others referring to this as well, is of course the brand Bangladesh, and I think there is a lot of work to be done by Bangladesh to brand. And you, dear friend, you do a lot in your very few months in The Hague. You've done already a load of work that has really been very helpful and supportive. I think it is. I think Bangladesh should exert an image of possibilities, and the branding should be really geared at doing business and an economic space that is open for foreign investment. I have always used a slogan myself that I came up myself when we actually were in the meeting, the EU-Bangladesh business climate meeting of 2 years ago, and was my first one. And what I came up with was brand, stand, and expand as a kind of a slogan along which I tried to work. And then brand stand for improving the image of Bangladesh. And I think it's not only you should work on that, I will work on that, my team will work on that, to improving the brand of Bangladesh also in the Netherlands. And too often, of course, Bangladesh is considered as to be this disaster-prone, heavily populated and poor country. It might all be true and challenges exist, but I think we should promote the opportunities and the positive sides of Bangladesh. And I think I would like to promote, and I said so in my initial speech as well, as Bangladesh as the next Asian tiger, the Bengal tiger. Yeah, and I think that is an image that always comes to mind when I think of Bangladesh. So brand, stand means that Bangladesh should stand for its products and its people. Only by investing in an educated workforce and letting the benefits flow back to society can Bangladesh sustain its rapid growth and benefit from expanding middle class and geostrategic position. I think keep that in mind. That is extremely important. But stand also means, and this also refers to the RMG sector, for a fair global trade and a level playing field, also in Bangladesh. And that, of course, the chair of BIDA is very much involved in that, in maintaining that level playing field in Bangladesh. Expand, I would say, it's all about diversification. So, it is important that a competitive and healthy Bangladeshi economy that need to take step towards that diversification horizontally, meaning that other sectors offering potential for growth should be stimulated, but also vertically, meaning that I would encourage Bangladesh to think about where to add value to products and services in the higher value chain. So that's me, brand, stand, expand. And I think these words, I think I would want to keep in mind. I always keep them in mind, and I always use them also when I need to hold speeches on the top of my head. And this is what guides me. So, but it sounds easier than it is, of course. And it starts with the will to make it happen. And my feeling is that the will is there. I think the will is there on both sides of the equation, Bangladesh, Netherlands. And I think from our government, but also from the private sector. And my impression is that the webinars is that there are options to do business in many sectors. If you allow me, we have to just mention two: the agricultural sector in particular. Tech-based opportunities still exist all over the value chain, but it's greenhouse technology, storage facilities, or seed technology, to name just a few examples. And interest from the Bangladeshi companies to invest into these technologies was very explicit during the meetings. The other one is light engineering, and there's ample scope for collaboration as well as trade and investment opportunities in product designs, skills development, and technology transfer. So, and then I could not, of course, miss the other one that really marks the collaboration between Bangladesh and the Netherlands, and these are opportunities in the water and maritime sector. So, with the Bangladesh Delta Plan 2100 as a framework, there's significant business in, for instance, deep sea fishing and riverine and marine logistics. So that are the 3 points that I wanted to make. In the follow-up to this summit, we will continuously work on increasing the available market intelligence to several sectors, and we will explore the opportunities for mutual visits and trade missions once the situation allows for it. And I will work very closely with you, Ambassador Riaz, Both teams are, working very close, and I think that is a very hopeful way of coming to success. So my team and I remain to stand ready and to assist Bangladeshi and Netherlands companies in Dhaka. And I'm confident that the same goes for you, Hamidullah, and your team in The Hague. So together, let us brand, stand, expand. That's my contribution. Thank you so much.
Your contribution comes as a kind of continuing thing. Two things I may say that you didn't hear us in the very beginning, and I now realize that in the presence of two distinguished ambassadors, Ambassador Harry Verwey in Dhaka, Ambassador Steve Collett still connected with us in Hague, I think this makes it a very significant point of reference for us in terms of convergence of views and also thinking, and also the horizon of possibilities, if I may put it that way. I must also underscore and invite everyone's attention to chat box. Over the past 3 webinars, I think by now people have become familiar. So many of the people from Bangladesh, and I would assume that also from not only Netherlands, but also Europe, people are really enthusiastically putting questions, etc. We may not have time to pick those up, but I think that would only corroborate to the kind of enthusiasm and interest and focus which is now coming to the whole process. And I said, this is not the end of it's not a one-off thing, it's beginning of a process. With that, may I, sir, now turn to His Excellency Honorable Mohammad Shahriar Alam MP, the Minister for State Affairs, Foreign Affairs in Dhaka. So before we hear your kind remarks as we are approaching the close of it, may I first have your kind indulgence in launching the report, and I request everyone, if you kindly bring up to the screen the copy that you may have, at least the cover of it, sir. If you kindly unveil it, sir, will be very, sir.
I am very well prepared today with a Caesar and the report. So
Light Castle Partners actually reached it to you in Dhaka in person, sir. These days.
All right.
COVID.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Screenshot.
There we go.
Thank you very much,
Great
sir.
work. Lovely. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. May I, sir, explain to you, sir, the cover of it? We were actually mulling over the cover. If you kindly see, the blue denotes Netherlands and the green denotes Bangladesh. That's the kind of marriage we fought over. And when we say Netherlands, Bangladesh, mapping the ground at 50, because next year Bangladesh turns 50, but 2022, Bangladesh would be marking the 50 years of diplomatic recognition from the Netherlands. So the next 2 years are important. And we are saying the subtitle is Stitching Partnerships. That's based on considerable equality, sir. With that, sir, may we have your kind reflections on your take,
Sure.
whatever you may consider right, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Excellencies, ambassadors, colleagues, friends, assalamu alaikum. And we start in the afternoon, but it's evening already in Dhaka. So good evening and good afternoon for people in Netherlands. Let me thank our own embassy first for these very novel initiative. I believe, and I was reflecting on that this is actually the first such mapping, the extent of economic engagement with any bilateral relations. And I think I'll go back to office tomorrow. I do have an engagement, even though it's Friday. We have a SICA meeting in the afternoon, and I'll be telling our colleagues to try and replicate the same for with all our major friends. So this is a brilliant work. The study also comes at a time when we are approaching to celebrate half a century's friendly, balanced, and engaging relationship between our two countries. And I'm witnessing that rather closely for last 7 years or so. That way, it surely fills in a void as well. I also compliment our ambassadors in his teaching. In his term, it's a rainbow coalition. It's obviously I guess, more than 7 colors involved here. Obviously, the Dutch Foreign Ministry, the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, RVO, NUFIC, FMO, PUM, and also the Dutch Embassy in Dhaka on board, but also the chambers, organizations, and industry associations. Some of them are present here today. And this is notable. Ambassador Hamidullah, who had been on the ground only for about 6 months or so, I think deserves a very special mention here. So congratulations, Riyaz Hamidullah. And the way the Light Castle partners in Dhaka and the Larive International in Amsterdam engaged with the embassy for the last 5-6 months in producing this insightful and illustrative mapping. I listened to both Zahid and Matthias with attention, and I applaud both the partners for accomplishing this impeccable work that you have done. I think over the first 5 decades, our political and economic ties and engagement with the Netherlands have evolved considerably. Trade and investment growth with Netherlands is fast outpacing the ODA. Today, Netherlands is our 7th largest export destination in Europe and 9th globally, 4th largest origin of FDI to Bangladesh, and 13th largest source of ODA. We also have quite a seamless coordination and interaction in multilateral space. Over decades, the Dutch side appreciates Bangladesh's challenges in approach to water, climate change, women empowerment, inclusive finance. They stood firmly by us in addressing challenges on trade and sustainability. Now, our bilateral ties is progressing steadily. Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina had a groundbreaking visit to Netherlands in the November 2015. Unfortunately, I have missed out, so I'll be waiting for a COVID-free day at some point, hopefully next year, to travel. But on a much more serious note, that Her Majesty Queen Maxima was in Dhaka not once, twice, as the UN Special Envoy in 2015 and 2019. The relationship, as we all say, that dates back 50 years. And when Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was rebuilding Bangladesh, or rather laying the foundation of today's Bangladesh 50 years ago, the Dutch company's support in Bangladesh began, especially in the areas of land reclamation, river training, and overall water sector. And up until 2010, the dredgers that were bought from the Dutch from the Netherlands during those days were the first and last dredger that Bangladesh as a country actually bought. Obviously, since then, for the last couple of years, a lot of private companies are coming up, and government is reinvesting heavily into that dredging industry. Building on that, Bangladesh Delta Plan 2100 stands out as a high point in our ties. More than physical infrastructure, to me, the larger objective of the Delta Plan is to make living, manufacturing, production works across Bangladesh sustainable, resilient, secure, dynamic for the future, as Bangladesh aspires to emerge as a developed country by 2041. The Dutch entrepreneurs, innovators, and SMEs that many of you spoke about, who gainfully engage with responsible and credible partners from Bangladesh private sector. As much as we need financial investment, we need knowledge, as Nasir Izaz Bijay said, that we need knowledge, technology, solution, innovation, more to convert the opportunity into attractive and competitive business propositions. I recall when our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina spoke to the Dutch businesses in 2015 in the Netherlands, she emphasized on deepening mutual collaboration in agriculture, food, and light engineering sectors. And it's actually mostly SMEs. The Dutch companies, the large ones like Philips, Organon, Unilever, are well-known household name in Bangladesh. But with my modest exposure in business, I look at Netherlands beyond that little over $1 billion annual export. To me, Netherlands and Bangladesh holds greater potential to mutually benefit from each other's complementarities through strategic investment and collaboration in areas like agricultural, light engineering, and water, as Honorable Prime Minister mentioned during her visit in 2015. These areas are also crucial for our two deltaic nations in a future world that is already focusing on circular economy. European Union is moving towards a EU Green Deal. Therefore, I should particularly compliment our ambassador for organizing this series of webinar for the last 3 days and creatively focus on these key areas. I'm also pleased to learn that the embassy wants to carry forward the interactions, and it's very important to follow up and bring some deliverables for all of us, especially for the private sector. This study is therefore does a beginning of a much longer sustained process. Ladies and gentlemen, this COVID-19 pandemic has affected all of us globally. Bangladesh is obviously no exception. We reckon for a good time to come, post-COVID world economy and business would be so much different than before, what we are used to. Thanks to the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and strong macroeconomic fundamentals and management, Bangladesh has so far overcome the possible COVID impacts rather comfortably. But obviously, we are not complacent. There is absolutely no scope. So we are keeping an eye on on an hourly basis, so to speak. As Bangladesh moves as a fastest growing economy in Asia Pacific, with a youthful population of 167 million, with a median age of 27 years, with 34 million middle and affluent class and urbanizing rapidly, the demand for safe and quality agro commodities, clean energy, resilient infrastructure will rise for decades. That's where the business and investment from Bangladesh and the Netherlands can gain mutually through collaborations. In that journey, as this study highlights, sectors like pharmaceuticals, leather, agro-processing, IT, dairy, jute, shipbuilding, renewable energy, water and marine infrastructures, river management, land reclamation from those very early days, fintech and digital, as I said, and various creative industries, blue economy can offer win-win opportunities for both the sides. And as far as Bangladesh and the aspiration of the people of this 160 million is concerned, as Ambassador Harry went on to say that for Bangladesh, he uses this expression, brand stands and expands. And if you have noticed, today is a very significant day for us, for our nation. As a matter of pride, we have actually successfully completed putting up the 41st span of a 6-kilometer long bridge over mighty river Padma. So I think, anything that refers to Bangladesh, the very spirit one day will turn all these aspirations and, different initiatives that we take, or if you want to truly, as some of you said, that Bangladesh is probably one of the best kept secret. I think the very expression, these two words, Padma Bridge, will tell you the story and the real strength of Bangladesh. We have another friend connected here today, but I'm sure Ambassador Harry can explain to Ambassador Steve what I meant by that. And, this has shaped Bangladesh, especially in last 10 years, and will continue to expand on that very solid foundation that was originally laid down by father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and his very able daughter, Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, is building on that solid, rock solid foundations. So I think as far as our bilateral relationship is concerned, this study, this mapping will take our bilateral relation, both political and economic, to a newer height. To end, my warmest felicitation to Ambassador Riaz Hamidullah and his team at The Hague and everyone else involved and his collaborators in Light Castle and Lariv for accomplishing such a fantastic, valued work. I thank you all. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu.
Thank you very much, sir. On my personal behalf, on behalf of my colleagues in the embassy and all the collaborators for your insights, your perspectives, your reflections, so much valued. And I may only say that we're really privileged to have you, sir, at this hour. In spite of your busy engagements and schedule, particularly in the series of webinars, back-to-back Zoom meetings that are coming these days. May I only, sir, underscore one thing that the other day while we were preparing for this, a gentleman called me and said that, do you know, Ambassador, that how a Dutch company or the engineers came and kind of did the river training, very difficult river training for the Jamuna Bridge, for example. So I was really enthused and kind of taken aback. Particularly given the river morphology of Jamuna Bridge. And that was a beginning 30 years back. We all were struggling. We didn't know whether the rivers could be trained or tamed. That was the kind of thing that was really going around, sir. Sir, as we, with your everyone's presence, kind indulgence and having with us for over 1 hour now, as I'm to bring the whole, this launching ceremony to a close, please allow me to mention a couple of individuals and also the organizations who have been here with us in the journey. And I'm looking at this launching ceremony, the study itself, as a part of the webinars. It's a collective, comprehensive effort for us to make a pitch, and it's simply not targeting at investment. It's also about bringing Bangladesh to the Dutch map in the Netherlands. I must mention, as I did in the initial stage, RVO, Nafik, POOM, obviously the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Royal Government of Netherlands, the Embassy of Netherlands in Bangladesh, the presence of the distinguished two ambassadors vindicate that eminently, but also the range of as many as 9, or if the number might have exceeded, the chambers of commerce in Bangladesh, industry associations, and also the governmental entities, BIDA, BEBSA, BEZA, to mention. Many others wanted to come because of our constraints. We could not take them on board. This has been such a wonderful experience learning for us, sir. It's been very difficult and challenging at times to stitch, but not only because of COVID, but there was no template, there was no reference points. So I think we could accomplish this without with certain constraints. Might I also invite everyone's attention, as I did put in the initial words, that please understand that this is not an exhaustive piece of work. This is perhaps the first edition. Many may come back to us or to you saying that this particular piece of thing which has been going on in Bangladesh vis-a-vis Netherlands, Bangladesh is not mentioned. As I said, the writer is that this is the first ever beginning. We didn't have access to many things. So we only hope that in other way, having now this is going out, people may come back and we'll be too happy to include them, stitch them maybe in the next versions as we work together. And I do look at Ambassador Hai together, because this is a kind of collaborative effort in the direction. So without further ado, please allow me from The Hague to once again thank everyone, sir, including sir to you, the distinguished chairman of BIDA, and Ambassador Nihat Kobir, Ambassador Harry Verwey, Ambassador Steve Collett, I hope he's still here, Mr. Nasir Raz Bijoy, and not to mention Matthias and Zahid, the two young men, I call them still young men, who have made this whole journey and this thing to bring to fruition. So thank you very much, sir. With that, we could draw this whole ceremony to a close. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Ambassador. Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.